Imagine being out in the middle of the North Sea. You are on a massive oil rig, a metal island surrounded by miles and miles of choppy gray water. The nearest land is hundreds of kilometers away. You would expect to see seabirds, maybe a seal or a whale if you are lucky, but what you would not expect to see are tiny insects, the kind you usually find buzzing around your garden. Yet, that is exactly what happened. Scientists were absolutely amazed to find small, brightly colored flies on these remote platforms. It was a complete surprise, a little mystery waiting to be solved right there, in one of the most industrial and isolated places on Earth. These weren't just any flies. They were a specific type known as marmalade hoverflies. Finding them so far from any flower or field was a real head-scratcher. How did they get there? What were they doing so far from home? These little creatures are known for being garden visitors, not long-distance ocean voyagers. Their presence on the oil rigs posed a fascinating question for the researchers. It suggested that these insects were capable of incredible journeys, crossing vast stretches of open sea. This discovery was the first clue that we might have been underestimating these tiny animals all along. It was a sign that there was much more to learn about their secret lives. The oil rig itself became an unlikely research station. Normally a place for drilling and engineering, it was now a pit stop for these tiny aviators. The scientists, who were originally there for other reasons, suddenly had a new and exciting project. They began to carefully observe and collect these unexpected visitors. It was a strange sight. These delicate insects, normally associated with sunny meadows and colorful flowers, resting on cold, hard steel. This incredible contrast between the natural world and the industrial world made the discovery even more dramatic. It showed that nature can turn up in the most unexpected and surprising locations imaginable. This initial finding was just the beginning of a much bigger story. It was more than just a weird sighting. It was a puzzle piece in a much larger ecological picture. The scientists knew that if these hoverflies could make it this far, they must be incredibly tough and resilient. They must have a story to tell about where they had been and where they were going. The journey itself was a remarkable feat of endurance for such a small creature. This single observation opened up a whole new field of questions about insect migration, their capabilities and their role in the wider environment, connecting ecosystems in ways we never thought possible. So, what exactly is a marmalade hoverfly? You've probably seen them many times without even realizing it. They are those small insects that look a bit like tiny wasps or bees, with bright orange and black stripes across their bodies. This coloring is a clever trick. It makes them look dangerous to predators like birds, who might think twice before trying to eat them. But in reality, hoverflies are completely harmless. They cannot sting you at all. They are masters of disguise, using their appearance to stay safe while they go about their very important business in the natural world. Their name, hoverfly, gives you a big clue about their behavior. They are expert flyers, able to hover perfectly still in mid-air, almost like a tiny helicopter. You can often see them doing this over a patch of flowers, their wings beating so fast they become a blur. Then, they will suddenly dart off in another direction before stopping to hover again. This incredible flight control allows them to carefully select the best flowers to visit for a meal. They feed on nectar, the sweet, sugary liquid produced by plants, which gives them the energy they need for flying and for their amazing long-distance journeys. These insects are incredibly common across Europe and are a familiar sight in gardens, parks, and countryside from spring until autumn. They love sunny spots and are attracted to a wide variety of flowers from dandelions to lavender. Their life cycle is also fascinating. The adult hoverflies lay their eggs on plants that are infested with aphids, which are tiny green flies that suck the sap from plants. When the hoverfly larvae hatch, they look like tiny maggots, and they have a huge appetite. They crawl around the plant eating hundreds and hundreds of aphids. This makes them a gardener's best friend, but what makes the marmalade hoverfly truly special is its migratory instinct. While many stay local, huge numbers of them undertake massive journeys every single year. They travel north in the spring, and then their offspring fly south in the autumn, following the seasons. We knew they traveled over land, but this discovery in the North Sea was the first real proof of just how extreme these migrations could be. It showed that they were not afraid to cross large bodies of water, pushing the limits of what we thought was possible for an insect of their size. They are true adventurers of the insect world. When the scientists took a closer look at the hoverflies they found on the oil rig, they made another incredible discovery. Using powerful microscopes, they examined the tiny hairs on the insects' bodies. To their astonishment, these hairs were covered in pollen grains. This wasn't a huge surprise, as hoverflies are known to visit flowers, but the amazing part was the sheer variety of pollen they were carrying. It was like each tiny hoverfly was a flying library of botanical information, carrying clues about every single plant it had visited on its long and epic journey across the sea. The researchers carefully identified the different types of pollen. They found pollen from all sorts of plants, including familiar ones like daisies and buttercups. However, they also found pollen from plants that do not even grow in the United Kingdom, where the oil rig was located. For example, they found pollen from a plant called oleaster, which is commonly found in Mediterranean countries like Spain and Italy. This was a stunning piece of evidence. It proved that these tiny hoverflies had not just flown from the nearby coast, they had traveled all the way from southern Europe, hundreds, if not thousands of kilometers away. This discovery painted a vivid picture of the hoverfly's incredible journey. A single insect, weighing less than a paperclip, had started its life somewhere warm in southern Europe. It had flown from flower to flower, feeding and collecting pollen as it went. Then, it set off on a massive migratory flight northwards. It flew over mountains, forests, and cities, and then launched itself out over the vast open North Sea. It was on this final daring leg of its journey that it was intercepted on the oil rig, still carrying the evidence of its travels from faraway lands. The pollen told a story that the hoverfly itself could not. It acted like a passport, stamped with the details of every place the insect had visited. This technique of analyzing pollen on migrating insects is a powerful tool for scientists. It allows them to track the movements of these animals and understand the connections they create between different habitats. The hoverflies on the oil rig were not just lost insects, they were messengers carrying biological information across an entire continent, and proving that even the smallest creatures can connect our world in big ways. The discovery that marmalade hoverflies can carry pollen over such vast distances is hugely important for nature. Think of it like this. These insects are acting as long-distance delivery drivers for plants. They pick up pollen in one country and drop it off in another. This helps plants to spread their genes over a much wider area than they could on their own. This genetic mixing is vital for keeping plant populations healthy and strong. It helps them to adapt to new challenges like climate change or disease. These tiny hoverflies are helping to build a more resilient and connected network of plant life across all of Europe. For people, especially farmers, this discovery is also fantastic news. Hoverflies play two incredibly important roles on a farm. Firstly, they are amazing pollinators. As they travel from flower to flower drinking nectar, they transfer pollen, which is essential for many of our food crops to produce fruit and seeds. Crops like strawberries, raspberries, and apples all benefit from hoverfly visits. Secondly, as we learned, their larvae are voracious predators of pests like aphids. This makes them a form of natural pest control, reducing the need for farmers to use chemical pesticides on their crops, which is better for the environment and for our health. The fact that these hoverflies migrate in such huge numbers means their benefits are spread far and wide. A farmer in the United Kingdom might be benefiting from hoverflies that started their lives in France or Spain. Their journey connects ecosystems and agricultural landscapes across the continent. They provide a free service, pollination, and pest control that is worth billions of pounds to our economies every single year. Understanding their migration routes helps us appreciate how interconnected our environment truly is. What happens in a field in one country can have a direct and positive impact on a farm in another. In the end, this surprising discovery on a North Sea oil rig teaches us a powerful lesson. It shows us that even the smallest creatures can have a massive impact on our world. It reminds us that nature is full of surprises and that there is still so much to learn about the animals we share our planet with. The marmalade hoverfly is more than just a pretty insect. It's a vital pollinator, a natural pest controller, and an incredible long-distance migrant that connects our continent. Protecting their habitats, both where they feed and where they migrate, is essential for the health of our planet and for our own food security.